You said how many years have you been doing this draft, and this is the weirdest one?
Yeah, by far. This is my 18th. So the first draft I did was the LeBron James draft in 2003. And I can't imagine what the players are going through. I mean, I think it's difficult for the teams through the pandemic, not having the normal information they'd have. But for the players, they've waited a long time for this. And so they've got to be really excited as the draft approaches tonight.
Well, look, it's still a draft. They're still seeing their NBA dreams come true, and you guys are going to be there in Bristol tonight with the commissioner to make all of that happen. We're just hours away. Jake, who is your best prospect as you sit there this afternoon?
Well, on my best available list, I have Anthony Edwards of Georgia as the #1 overall prospect, and it's primarily due to his athleticism advantage that he has over LaMelo Ball. Edwards is a big-time scorer. He can score from all three levels. He's got deep range. He can score in the mid-range, and he can really finish at the basket and in transition. I think the issue you have with Anthony Edwards is, does he know how to play yet? He takes some questionable shots, and I think he settles for jump shots too much. And with that athleticism and body and handle and ability to finish, he needs to get to the rim more and get to the free throw line more. And he needs to be a more focused defender. You know, he's so long and athletic. If he really sits down in a stance, nobody's going to get by him. And I think he could be an outstanding defender in the NBA. He just has to show the consistent want to throughout the course of a game.
Well, look, you mentioned LaMelo Ball as, and look, some of our draft experts at ESPN have them as the #1 prospect. What do you think his ceiling is in the NBA?
I think he can be really good. You know, Mike Schmitz, who is as good a talent evaluator as there is in the game, has him #1 overall. And reasonable minds can differ on this. It's a close call. But LaMelo Ball is a wizard with the basketball, can really handle it, and is actually, I think, a better passer than his brother Lonzo Ball, the #2 pick a few years ago out of UCLA. He doesn't shoot it well, but he's got terrific size, and he's got pretty good speed, but he changes pace with the ball. He can get by people. He finishes well. He's very creative. But his ability to deliver the ball. But he's another guy, Rachel, that he's got to guard somebody. He doesn't defend. And in fact, his brother Lonzo is a better shooter than he is. And Lonzo's, I wouldn't classify him as Steph Curry or Klay Thompson or anything. He doesn't shoot it great. So he's going to have to really improve that shot. But there's no denying with the basketball, he's truly outstanding.
And where does James Wiseman fit in for you?
Right in, I think, as the second best prospect, frankly. If this were 5 or 10 years ago, I really believe that James Wiseman would be the #1 overall pick, and we wouldn't even hesitate to say that. But the game's changed, and Mike Schmitz has, I think, accurately said it's almost like he's a running back in the NFL now because the game's changed so much. But he's a Chris Bosh type player, I think. He's 7'1", 7'6" wingspan. He's a lob threat, can really run. He rebounds well. He blocks shots, protects the rim. I think he can shoot it. I think he can step away and shoot it. And I think he's going to fit in well if the Warriors decide to take him at #2, because you know there's a thought out there that you can get a serviceable big guy on the open market, and it's not that expensive, and that may be true. Right. But he's way better than serviceable. James Wiseman's going to be a really, really good player for a long time as long as he stays healthy.
It's so interesting if he does end up going #2 to Golden State, because he does fill a need for them. Obviously not on the same timeline as their main players, but at least the position is the correct position for something they might be drafting for. And you said you think he can step away and shoot. I can't think of any better shooting coaches, Jay, than Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Steve Kerr, right? They've got the guys there to help him develop.
Yeah, just don't get in a three-point shooting contest or practice for money, especially as a rookie. Stay away from that.
I think that would be good advice for anybody in the NBA, actually, not to get into a three-point shooting contest for money on that team. Just saying. I do want to hop over, though, to college hoops. We don't get to have you on that often, Jay. So I got to ask you about your other gig here. The pandemic presented so many challenges to the football season, but they're working through them because they get to play outdoors. They have a week off in between games to sort of manage any positive tests they have. Basketball is a whole different story. What are your expectations for the upcoming season, which is only a week away?
A bumpy ride. The one hope that I have for basketball, as you've mentioned, indoors, way more games, a lot more travel, a lot more things involved. we're about to have these schools send their students home, not just for Thanksgiving, but really for the first semester, and they're not going to bring them back. And I've got an idea that they're not going to bring them back early in the second semester either. So that'll give these basketball teams an opportunity to be on campus and isolated, almost in their own bubble. And I think that's going to give us a better chance to get a season in. So I'm optimistic cautiously, but there's no question we're going to have cancellations and postponements just like football. We may have a better chance of getting those in, but we're going to have to be creative.
Yeah, for sure. Assuming the season does progress and get to March, how do you feel about the idea of a single-site NCAA tournament in Indianapolis?
Smart move by the NCAA. It's really the only thing they could do. The idea that we were going to be able to manage 13 different sites throughout the course of 3 weeks for an NCAA tournament, I think they realized that wasn't going to work. So having a bubble-type environment, it won't be a strict bubble like they had down in Orlando for the NBA, but it'll be an isolation environment where they can bring everybody in there, kind of isolate them in Indianapolis. I think that's going to be the place where ultimately it is. And Indianapolis is always the default city for the Final Four. If there's any sort of disruption for a Final Four, some sort of weather catastrophe or something, they always have the option every year to go to Indianapolis. So they're used to this, and I think it'll be a good thing. But honestly, Rachel, it's the only way they can get in. If we go 2 years without an NCAA tournament, that may be an existential threat for the NCAA as an organization. The tournament is their only revenue source. They don't get any football money flowing through the NCAA office. It all comes in from the NCAA basketball tournament. They have to have this.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.